and welcome back to another episode of the Autopography Podcast. This particular episode is going to be a bit about types of burn that I've done. I just thought it might be interesting for people who are getting into pyrography to sort of get an idea of what they could do with pyrography. Obviously, there are quite a few restrictions compared to like painting, drawing, sculpting, for instance. But yeah, let's get into it. There we go. So I'm going to use pyrographies that I've done. I'll link in the photographers in the link below. So feel free to check out the photographers because they're all absolutely amazing. Hence why I've used their images. But yeah, let's get into it, mate. So the first picture is Blackout Background. So as the name implies, the background is black. This particular picture isn't great, but it's perfect actually for showing you. As you can see around the edge of the trunk, it's where I've had to burn with the pen, because in order to get that burnt black... I keep saying background. In order to get that black background, obviously I've used a blowtorch, but in order to protect the burn, or in this case where I had started not doing the burn and then had to work around the carbon build-up, obviously, because that is what the background is. It's just where you've burnt it is essentially carbon. Rubbing my hand on the black, hoping that I wouldn't, so I had to lean on a bit of wood, and there's actually a whole video. Feel free to check that out. A couple months back. Don't feel pressured. I might link it below actually, so it's a bit easier for you to find if you're interested. But around the edge of the trunk, where I can't actually get the blowtorch, I've had to obviously burn it. But it burns differently to like the blowtorch. So, that's perfect there. Where it burns black, but the light reflects off it differently. It's almost a bit shinier. So that at the moment, I don't have any advice to prevent that. I don't do an awful lot of black backgrounds, just because obviously it's a struggle to get the correct sort of background burnt in order to blend the background with the burn. You've got to risk getting that effect, and it can ruin the whole picture. Like this piece looks good in the right lighting. It's not terrible. The wood wasn't the perfect choice either for this particular burn, so I'm not overly fond of how this piece has come out, but I've learnt from it. I've learnt that I think it was cedar, this particular wood, isn't great for filing, and obviously it burns quite deep as well, so obviously it creates that different black background to the blowtorch. But there you go, actually, there's a bit of advice there. Cedar and black backgrounds, they don't go, neither do elephant trunk. This isn't necessarily a particular type of burn, but more a particular type of presentation. So much like with Happy Couple, 2 bits of sycamore put together with resin. That's the one. 2 bits of sycamore put together with a bit of resin. Obviously, these particular images are from the Planet of the Apes series, just because quite a fan of those films and thought, oh, that'd be quite nice to do. They are the closest I've got to a human. I would like to try and do a human face one day. I might try and do like a Darth Vader cross Anakin Skywalker one day, but at the moment I'm going to stick with the animals. So that's one type of burn, more of presentation. Split wood, put something in it, whether that's... You could use dowel. I don't think it would look as good with bits of dowel, but resin... something to try. Edge to edge. Obviously, it's not necessarily really a type of burn. It's just sort of, once again, sort of how you've burnt it or how you've chosen the image. So obviously, this is a sort of edge to edge piece. So the image goes from one side to the other, top to bottom, side to side. Obviously, it's an eye. It's quite a zoomed in image. The original image actually was edge to edge. There's not really much to talk about edge to edge. It can be a bit difficult around the edges if you've got something like this where it's quite fine, but you can improvise or... Well, actually, if you've got your silicone mat, it doesn't matter if you flick off the edge a bit because it will just catch the silicone mat. Live edge. Once again, this is not really a type of burn. It's more what the burn's on and how it's presented. So with this one, obviously you've got your wood, but the edge has still got the bark on, which is live edge. I only learned that quite recently, actually. It can make a piece look quite nice and sort of more rustic, I guess you could say. But it's actually quite hard to find pieces like this. I had a customer, actually the client that did commissioned the Rhino, asked for a live edge, and obviously due to the width they wanted, the size of the wood, obviously it being 150, and they wanted a 60, and I can only do a 45. If they wanted a live edge, it'd have to be like a really wide tree, because obviously the live edge is the bark. Hence why this piece is quite narrow, is because it's like essentially an off-cut or a bit of wood that they can't use for anything because it's so narrow. Hence why the live edge is so thick. But it's quite hard to find, and I do love a live edge. So whenever I can get my hands on a nice bit of live edge, snatch that up. And last but not least, or at least from my collection of types of burn, 2 or more animals. So obviously this particular reference is Family Stroll, where coincidentally I think this was it might have even been the first piece where I had 2 animals crossed over, and as you can see, obviously the front bear crosses over with the second bear crosses over with the first bear, and to make it even harder, the water reflection, which I'm very amazed at the fact that looking at it now, it does look pretty cool. I didn't really appreciate it when I had it in person. Fortunately for me, it's sold this year. I made it this year, sold it this year, so I'm very proud of that. It's sort of was the first big sale of the business, so I'm very proud of that. But I'm not trying to brag or anything. It's just I'm very proud of myself and the business. But anyway, that's one thing that people always comment on is the reflections of the bears. And looking at it now, I can see why they're saying it. It was quite simple actually when I did the carbon outline of just doing the outline of the darkest bits of the shadow, burning them, and then just blowtorching over them, but not carbon papering the outline, because obviously that would create sort of a border as such to blowtorch in. So I just sort of improvised. The head of the first bear, completely improvised, didn't have any pencil mark on that. I don't think hence why the second one doesn't actually have a head shadow, not because obviously there wasn't a shadow there, just because I didn't want to mess up the shadow of the first bear. And then obviously this third bear, it just seemed to work quite well. But yeah, so that's the types of burns that I've done. Once again, a bit like with episode 7, really, not an essential video. You don't need to watch this to do pyrography. It's just tips for people that are just starting or haven't started but are looking into like other people's advice, tips, their techniques, their strategies of doing pyrography. I hope that these 10 episodes, obviously there's going to be one following after this, the 10 episodes are going to be helpful. I'm sorry for anyone who was looking for a decent podcast. I promise season 2, or at least the next bit of the podcast, is going to be more podcasts. So talking about my autism, the way I think, and then sort of how art is a very big part of my life, sort of mental health and physical health, just sort of proper podcast chat. I do apologise for episode 1 to 10 and sort of how they've flowed. They're not really podcasts, are they? They're sort of videos, but it's just me sort of practicing for season 2, I guess. Season 2. So yeah, I hope you've enjoyed 1 to 10, or at least 0 to 10, or 9 obviously at the moment, but 10 will be coming out quite soon, and that's going to be about wood protection, just sort of what I've used in the past, what I use now, and then a more expensive option. Those who are a bit more experienced and have got this far, I don't know why you've watched this far, please feel free to comment below what types of burn you do, because obviously some people, a lot of other artists do like really elaborate images, like they have like forest scenes. It's way too much for me to do. My patience hits a limit, and the amount I can sort of process in an image, it's just way too much. Like, don't get me wrong, I love the burns they do. I'm jealous that they're able to do it, really. Envious that they're able to sort of see it, but it's just a lot. Just like, where would I? It's sort of making me speechless thinking about it, really. I just don't know where I would start with a piece like that. At least with obviously animals, I'm able to sort of go, right, I'll start with the eye, start with the nose, go from here, go from there. I'm all over the place really with most of the burns. I can be doing one bit here and then go off on a tangent here. But with a piece like that, it's bringing it all together correctly. I think I wouldn't be able to do it properly, because I've found with pieces I can be burning down here, then come over here and start burning, and they don't like merge together correctly. So if I've got like 1,000,001 parts of an image, I don't think it would flow, and it would take me way too long to make a piece. Not that that's a problem, but if I'm trying to make enough pieces to like sell, or for enjoyment, I don't enjoy spending countless months stressing over getting the wrong tone, getting the wrong texture, having to like redo it over and over again. I'm comfortable with where I'm at with what I'm doing. I enjoy the pieces I make, and people appreciate it at markets and fairs, so I'm happy to stick with what I'm doing. But yeah, feel free to comment below if you do anything different. If this was helpful, please feel free to like the video, comment below, subscribe maybe. Season 2's coming soon. Really hope. Should be by the end mid-October, end of October, obviously 2025. So yeah, hope this was helpful. If it was, like, comment, maybe subscribe, maybe just think about subscribing. Watch episode 10, and if you're still sticking around, maybe hit that subscribe button. Maybe we've got a deal here. But yeah, hope this was helpful. Cheers.